Hello all my beautiful sisters from those other misters, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a demo of some makeup and my thoughts on the new Kaleidos Smokey Nostalgia collection. Oh god, these nails man. Here she is. Kaleidos sent me the whole collection. You can see how messy my desk is. Oh, brush. This collection is pretty gorgeous. Smokey Nostalgia, indeed. It is very like cool, sexy 90s. It consists of some of their Cloud Lab lip clays, a set of those. There's 2 eyeshadow palettes and there's blushes. There are 5 fancy pants blushes in here. So I have been playing with this stuff, putting it on my face and filming it, and today I'm going to show you that footage and I'm going to let you guys know what I think. Before I get into my thoughts, I want to give you guys some prices. So you can get the full set, which includes the dresser and everything, the 2 eyeshadow palettes, the 4-piece lip set and the 5 blushes for $189 US. The lip set, like I said, it's a 4-piece set. This one here, it is $35. The eyeshadow palettes are $22 each and the blushes are $18. You can also buy the lip products individually. They are $12 each. So I'm going to start with the eyeshadow palettes because, you know, that's the fun part. No, actually I lied. I'm not. I'm going to talk about the packaging first. Because pretty much across the whole collection except the lip tin, and even with the lip tin I feel like they've touched on the theme of it, but all of the packaging in this collection, the chest, the makeup chest, the eyeshadow palettes and the blushes have a material like outer packaging. Now it's like, it's cushioned material with a lace overlay, and look, I like it a lot. I think it's really beautiful, but when you're talking about material and makeup, it's gonna get messy. So, you know, if you're thinking, oh, won't that get messy? Yeah, it's gonna get messy eventually. But I feel like for the theme of the collection, it's fitting, you know. It is definitely a nostalgic thing to see these sort of lace covered makeup collections. Something comes to mind for me is actually Too Faced. I'm pretty sure they used to do it. And I think Urban Decay at some stage. I know they at least had material, like their Urban Decay Naked palette, the original one. That was sort of like a suede material, not lace, but I do feel like it's got that throwback vibe to it. So yeah, it's definitely going to get messy, absolutely. But I also think it's quite pretty. The eyeshadow palettes, let's talk about these. Now, I just want to get something off my chest straight away. On the packaging of the palettes, without the boxes, there is no indication to what their names are, which I think is a shame. But that's probably because a sticker wouldn't stay on the back of these. But the one with the red hints in there is like the black and silver or black and grey. This one is called Black Jasmine, and the other one, which has some dark purple hints, this one's called Cold Brew. So it's got that coffee vibe. It is the one that I am wearing at the moment. Now I'm going to talk about Black Jasmine first. This was the one that I used first, and I figured that the brown version was the one that I was going to want to wear in this review. However, if you want to see what this looks like on my face, I did what did I do? think it was my Beautylish Lucky Bag unboxing. I was wearing this in that video. So as you can see, these are quad palettes and they consist of 3 mattes and basically like, I don't want to say a pressed glitter. They remind me a little bit of like MAC's super special sparkly formula eyeshadows. They call it a sparkling shimmer, and they're very sparkly and pretty. When I was using this palette, what I found interesting was this shade here, the lightest grey, blended so beautifully and was so, the formula was just lovely. I was able to go really, really soft with it and get a really beautiful, subtle, or like barely there finish, or I could build it up really easy. So that was nice. This second shade, which is the darker grey, also really nice, but I actually found it to be that black. I found it to be quite difficult to blend, and that was like, it goes on fine, there's no issue with that, but when it came to like blending the, you know, the darker shade into the lighter shade, I found it quite difficult. I felt like I'm going to be here for a while, so I opted to sort of flick between the two basically and tried to use a lighter shade to mute down the darker shade. Now the black I didn't use because I just don't use black eyeshadow. It's just not really a thing, but I mean, look at how that thing swatches. And finally, for this amazing, amazing sparkly shade, just look at it. It's so pretty. So it's kind of, it's almost gunmetal, like a light gunmetal grey, but because it's got so much reflect, it like pops a lot of silver. However, it actually has a bit of blue undertones as well, which makes it really like cool toned. This is an absolutely stunning little quad. The only thing that would make it perfection for me is if the black wasn't a black, which then probably wouldn't go with the theme. So, you know, that's just personal preference. And if this particular grey shade was easier to blend. It's interesting. It feels extremely soft in the pan. It picks up really well and it applies really well, but there was something about like getting those edges to blend to make them nice and soft and smoky basically that I had trouble with. But you can absolutely do it just by using the lighter shade. My absolute standout shades from this palette are the 2 on the top. I love them. They're gorgeous. That sparkly shade is something, oh, it's just out of this world. And look, you know, there it's applied quite heavily, but when I applied it, I just used like a flat eyeshadow brush and like a sort of tapping motion. It gives it a real beautiful sparkle. You can certainly get it on heavier. Today I applied this particular formula out of the Cold Brew palette. I put it on wet to see how that would apply, and it does go on a lot more metallic, whereas if you put this on with just a brush and you do it dry, you get a very beautiful, like ethereal, sparkly vibe going on. You can apply it heavily to get that, you know, intensity, or you can literally dust it over an eye to just, you know, give it a tiny bit of iridescence and pop. Super pretty. Really, really enjoy that palette, specifically those 2 shades on top, and that sparkly shade is divine. Let's get into Cold Brew, which is what I'm wearing today. And I did use all of the shades on my eye to create the look that I'm currently wearing. And I've got to say, ooh, this is easily my favorite. So there's your lighter shade, your mid-tone shade, and your deepest shade. Now what's interesting about this shade is it has those nudie tones, but there's a hint of pink in there, which is stunning, and I think it goes really well with the color story that we've got going on in this palette. The dark brown, I was a little bit concerned. Sometimes dark browns can be a nightmare to blend, but it wasn't. I even used it to create like a soft sort of faded smoky wing. I used this shade sort of in my crease as a transition shade, mid-tone shade. Also went in my crease, my outer corner, my inner corner. This guy I used for creating a wing and my lower lash line, and I also used this shade over the top of my eyelid, and I applied it wet, plus I put it on my inner corner. This is my favorite palette. I think most of you will know that I am going to gravitate towards this sort of color story. It is simple. It's just, it's a me color story. I think you all already know that. Because the formula blends really easily, it makes me think it's going to be so easy to use, but then it gives me that pop of sparkle, which I really enjoy. And if I want, you know, a matte eye, you can do a matte eye. If you just want a little wash of sparkle with, you know, a soft dark wing, you can do that. For me, this is a very, very diverse, everyday type of simple palette. And I like that. And I like that it's quad, and I like that it's not excessively bulky packaging. I will say another thing about the packaging that I do like, this base part here is plastic. Around the mirror here, this is material, which, I mean, it's gonna get messy. It is what it is. But I like the contrast of the like shiny black with the sort of matteness of the satin material under here. I think it's quite pretty. Next up is the blushes. So it's been a hot minute since we've seen blushes from Kaleidos. They did do the lo-fi blush duos. They were a matte blush and like a highlighting blush in, you know, cardboard packaging. This packaging is much more luxe. I can definitely say that much. I think I do prefer these blushes, and I think the tones are more interesting. Now, one criticism I do have, again, there's no name on the blush. So I have no idea what they're called. I have to refer to the website. Now, for normal people, that's really not going to matter. But for someone like me who may use a product and want to be able to tell people what it is, it's much nicer when you can just pick up the product and look on the packaging. Now, today I'm wearing this one, which is Joyride. I'm going to swatch these. I did think perhaps this could be used as a bronzer, but I was looking at it and I thought, oh, I see some yellow tones in there. They might, like, it might pull heavy yellow. So I want to be careful with that. I don't want to mess up my makeup and then have to, you know, make excuses for it. So I just used it as a blush. I think it's actually really beautiful, and it could absolutely be used as a bronzer. Next up, I don't know which one this is. This one. This one's Ecstasy. So this is a pretty, like, vibrant pinky shade. You can see, I feel like it's got hints of fluorescence in it, which is really interesting. This one here is called Dream Walk. This one is like a pinky lilac shade, so you'll be able to see the differences there. That makes Ecstasy look very coral. And this one, yeah, that almost looks, it looks like a cool toned pink next to it, but they describe it as a lilac pink. This one I'm excited to play with. This is called Sanguine, and it is a really beautiful, like, it's a red shade, but there's depth to it. And the last one, this is my absolute favorite. This one's called Sunburnt. Oh my goodness, like, this shade, I just love it. And I feel like it was the first one that I wore, and I think it's probably the most flattering shade on me, and it made me realize I should only ever reach for warm blushes, and this is probably why I hate pink blushes, because they pull so cool toned on me, and I don't like the way that looks on my cheeks. So this one is an absolute winner, and I'm keeping it forever. It's stunning. Now these blushes do apply really beautifully. They pick up quite a lot on a brush, so if you want to go heavy you can. On the Kaleidos website, they have used the blush in a very dramatic way and it looks beautiful. I love it. It's very avant-garde, but can I also say wearable, because it inspires me and it makes me want to like put it on my face like that. These are really beautiful blushes and I like them. I feel kind of inspired by them, especially what Kaleidos is doing with them, and you know, showing how they can be applied in this very dramatic but also super, super pretty way. Some of you will know that I don't like to wear a very heavy blush, and if you do want to apply them lightly, that's totally possible. I just pick it up on a brush and, you know, tap off the excess on a tissue or just on the palm of my hand or the back of my hand, and then I go in and just layer it up. So you've got so much control over it, even though they do have quite good pigmentation. And finally, the Cloud Lab lip clay set in Smokey Nostalgia. Now this consists of 4 of their Cloud Lab lip clays. You've got 2 nudes and 2 red shades. I just went through my old footage to see if I had kept the lip swatches from when I swatched basically their whole collection of Cloud Lab lip clays. And I was using that footage to compare to new shades that they had released, and I didn't keep it because I'm a fool. I must have accidentally deleted it, so I'm gonna have to do that to show you guys comparisons, but keep in mind I have not compared these to past shades yet, but I'm curious because I felt like when I was swatching or putting some of these on, I felt like there was some similarities, and there's another fly in here and I'm so angry. Let's get into these. So this first one is the shade Skinship, and this is what I am wearing today. This next one is Cold Smoke, which is like a nice sort of chocolatey brown. Again, it's going with that sort of coffee vibe, which, you know, I like. We have Cognac, which is sort of like a, I mean, I feel like it looks a bit brown, but when you get it on, it's got those beautiful red tones to it. And the last one is super vampy. This one is called Smeared Rouge, and I understand why they called it that, because it does have that vibe. So you can get this on kind of light, and it's got that nice, really vibrant, vampy red shade, or you can get it on a little bit heavier and it gives you a really, really rich, like blood red shade. Now what I noticed with these lip products when I was swatching them, and I've said this in my past reviews, the darker the shade, you're going to get a better result if you do a couple of thin layers rather than trying to get it all on at once. I also have very dry lips today, and I did find that the darker shades were sort of clinging to the dry patches on my lips, which is not anything unusual with these products. They are still a matte lip product, but they have that sort of silicone base, so they feel quite comfortable on the lips. I can wear them comfortably, but if I do have those like dry patches on my lips, then it's harder to get away with that when you're wearing the darker shades, because it will sort of, it'll hold on to them. My favorite color is probably Skinship. I also really enjoy Cognac as well, which is this sort of reddish brown shade. But I do suspect that they have some shades in their range that are fairly similar. So I'll get those swatches happening and you guys can take a look and compare them yourself. I know at the moment there's a little bit of a resurgence of like the late 90s, early 2000s grungy makeup vibe. And I think this is Kaleidos's interpretation of that. And look, I think they've done well. Now, I'm definitely not one to be excited about the return of that sort of makeup. I lived through it, and I can look at that time and feel nostalgic about it. And you know, there's still some makeup aspects of that that I enjoy, but I'm not here for a great big resurgence of it. However, I do like the fact that like they've taken some aspects of it that I feel is quite traditional, like the smoky eyeshadow palettes, you know, this in particular. And I mean, this as well, I feel like, you know, these sort of colors, they were definitely going around, but also I feel like, you know, this one is basically, oh, I'm trying to open it one-handed. I can't do it. This is sort of the like wearable version, or maybe easier to wear version of this. I do like the lip colors they chose. I think that that is actually pretty spot on to, you know, what was trendy. And the blushes is where I actually think this collection shines, because I feel like what we're actually seeing is like the modern twist on this resurgence of like late 90s, early 2000s grungy sort of smoky vibe makeup. The way they're showing the blushes being used and the shades that they've chosen is quite modern and fresh. It's not just pink, 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 which I feel has been, you know, that's kind of the blush industry for the last 50 years. But brands are starting to think outside the box, and I like the colors that Kaleidos chose this time, specifically my sunburnt orange shade. I'm going to leave that there, guys. I just want to say thank you so much, Kaleidos, for sending this collection to me, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you've got any thoughts, comments, or if you picked up the collection, let me know down in the comments section, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.